Hi, this is Phil Di Bella, and you're joining us with our 4-week workshop. We're at week 2 on behalf of ASBAS. I welcome you to the show where today we're going to be talking about passion. I will do a bit of a recap. So the whole concept of 4 weeks is all about entrepreneurial intelligence. We kicked off last week with vision. This week we're going to be talking about passion. Next week will be about brand. And then for the 4th week, we'll tie it all together and recap, but then we'll also advisors on panel that we will set up a panel with a full Q&A for everybody to ask questions. And saying that, we're also going to be doing questions today, as we did last week, which worked really well. So in your box on your panels down on the bottom right, I believe is of your screen, make sure that you send us questions as they come along, and feel free to direct those questions to any of the advisors. They're all going to introduce themselves to you. They're online with us, and I welcome them, but they're going to spend 30 seconds introducing themselves and with their area of expertise. So any questions that pop up around the topics we're talking about today, and you can direct it to them as well as myself. So firstly, I'm just going to give you a recap. So the workshop obviously last week kicked off. The whole 4-week program is titled Entrepreneurial Intelligence, and it's all about accelerating your potential. It's all about you being the best version of yourself. And it's broken down into vision, passion, and brand. And last week with vision, which is another way we talk about, is the why. We talked about the clarity and power of a vision is essential to establish a direction for your business. I will do a recap when we get into the presentation, but vision is all about that. Passion is what provides us the drive and the energy to engage with the purpose and sustain a level of commitment to a purpose no matter what, and we're going to really hone in on that today. And then brand, which we're going to cover next week. Brand defines your process or structure. It's your how. So if you follow the Simon Sinek why, what, how, this is very similar. This workshop is all about vision, passion, brand, and how we bring it all home in week 4. So before we get into the crux of the presentation, can I welcome my fellow advisors? Nathan, would you like to kick off and give us a short spiel about yourself?
Absolutely. Thanks, Phil, and thanks everyone for joining us today. Just a really quick summary of what I do. I'm passionate about helping brands to look good, and that's both people and businesses. So I've been in this game for quite some time, and I've worked across business, government, and not-for-profit. I run a company called 7 Patterns, and we offer consulting and creative services in the areas of branding, marketing, and strategy. And we've partnered with leaders around the world through those services. And if I can be of any help to anyone on the call today, feel free to reach out to me via the Business Station website. And obviously look forward to participating in this session today. Thank you.
Thanks, Nathan. Carolyn, can you please introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, I'm Carolyn. I'm from a company called Hawthorne Creative, and I've been with the ASBAS program almost since it started, I believe, so a good 2 and a bit years now. So we're all about helping you create content that converts. So teaching you how to really hit those emotional trigger points of your ideal target market and then create content that speaks to that. So it's all about getting you online, getting you noticed, but more importantly, getting your content converting, which ultimately obviously converts into sales. So that's me. If you have any questions around that content creation, then I'm always happy to chat.
Thanks, Carolyn. Sandra, over to you.
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining in today. My name is Sandra Tricoli, and I'm the Director of Savvy Creations PR. So I specialize in PR, social media, and content. I work with clients really, I guess my elevator pitch would be, I work with clients to position them as the authority of their industry. So if you're in finance, if you're in real estate, if you're in building, if you're any business or industry that you work in, it's my job to work with you to position you as the go-to person in that industry. And that's done through a series of content, social media, PR, and also being quite strategic in how you actually position yourself rather than just going, I need to post something today, I need to get myself out there. It's about looking at the long-term vision of your business and yourself and working backwards. So that's a little bit about me. If you do need any help or assistance with your marketing, in particular LinkedIn, I'm very passionate about the LinkedIn platform. So if you do need any assistance in that space, please feel free to reach out to me.
Thanks, Sandra. And Dante.
Hey, I'm Dante St. James. My business is called Clickstart. I also work with Facebook Australia and New Zealand as a digital marketing associate and lead trainer. You know how small businesses these days are supposed to be able to do all this website stuff and be IT experts and digital marketers all at the same time as running their own small businesses? Well, I help out with this by showing these businesses how they can do it themselves, or how to do it with me there right beside them through a one-to-one experience, or give them the option to throw in the towel if they want to and get it done for them if that's the best way forward with their websites, their online stores, Facebook, Instagram, Google Ads, SEO, and all that new fun stuff like TikTok and Clubhouse. I'm looking to work with those businesses in tourism, hospitality, and particularly in food and beverage that have been disproportionately affected in this last year by all that. Well, we know what's happened in this last year. I won't go any further into that. Back to you, Phil.
Thanks, Dan. Thank you, Dante. Josh, have we got Joshua on the line?
Sorry, no. I think Josh is not joining us today. Sorry, Phil.
Okay. No problems. And Tracy's not with us either, I believe.
Yes, that's right. So I think we've got four advisors today.
Fantastic. Thank you, everybody. And don't forget those questions, guys. So to all the listeners, pop those questions in the box. And of course, you'll have these wonderful advisors that have introduced themselves with a wide range of skills. Will also be joining us in week 4, where we really delve in and create a panel for you, along with Josh and Tracy is also. So what about let me bring that up and we'll kick off so everybody can see it. Yes, thumbs up, all good?
Yes, all good.
Perfect. So passion, you know, it's something that I have to say, when Alan Bonsall, who's one of the #1 branding strategists in this country, said, I want to write the book Entrepreneurial Intelligence, and I want to base it around the Di Bella coffee story, which is a company I started in 2002 and exited in 2017. Can I say that, you know, a great concept, and it was a bestseller and still sells many copies and all the rest of it. The hardest part of the book was actually the passion part of the book, because, you know, we're brought up with this word passion from young kids and we go, yeah, we know what passion is, we know what it is. But it was at this point when he said, explain to me passion, that I really had to stop and think. And it was the hardest part. So, you know, the presentation I've put together today is to try and help you fast track it and maybe give you a few aha moments yourself, because sometimes when we think we're truly passionate about something, we're really not. And as I do in my style, I'll give you plenty of examples and talk about stories and relate it back to my journey so far in business. But I'll start with passion. What actually is it? Well, it's a strong and barely controllable emotion that evokes action, you know. And unfortunately, if you think about this quote, a lot of people can tell you that it's an emotion, but how many people actually use passion to evoke, you know, use emotion to evoke an action? And think about that. And that's why, you know, we substitute the why, what, and how, where why is our vision, what is passion. So what I really believe passion is, the what in the what, is that yes, it is an emotion, and it doesn't necessarily need to be, you know, barely controllable. But what it drives you to do is to take action. And I think the #1 thing, and the advisors no doubt will agree, that the major issue that people have in getting things done is that they don't get in the river. They want to stand there and be bystanders. They know what, you know, they want to do. They know how possibly they should do it, but they don't actually jump into the river and start swimming downstream. They don't take that action. So I really want to start with that strong point, that what passion is, and the motive of passion is that it has to evoke action. So if we go on to, and let me work this one out. Next slide, here we go. Let's recap vision, the why. Now, remember that we said that vision is the ability to think about or plan the future with imagination or wisdom, right? That is what it's all about. Now, what it is that goals and visions are completely different. Now, again, we're recapping from last week really quickly. There are, if you have registered or you get friends of yours and colleagues to register or employees to register, they will have access to all of these videos. So please get on that link in the ASBAS website and join it. The Business Station will be able to give you all the information. No doubt, scroll up on the links. But if you register, you get access and video copies of all of the next of all of these 4-week sessions, and you can come back and refer to them at any time or use them yourself in your business with your team. So vision. Remember that goals and visions are completely different. We talked about it. A goal is something, it's a bit of a dream. A vision is something that you see. A goal It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to drive there, right? A goal is what you do once you've got a vision. The goal is normally, to me, truncated into sections. Visions is what you want to be in 12 months, 3 years, 5 years. Remember that by envisioning a future place, you're setting a goal by which you will measure the success, right? So your vision, it starts with the vision, and then your goals are the steps that you take that help you measure success. And remember that you're laying down your strategic plan, which gives you the foundation to succeed. You can't have a strategy plan without a vision. We really talked strongly about this, that you can't have a strategic plan, a plan that should run the business ultimately, if you don't have a vision. People are not going to know what they're turning up to work for and won't do it happily if they don't know where they're going. Everyone needs a purpose. Everyone needs a why. And that vision is what provides you that why and that purpose. And remember, the key point that I hammered home last week was that vision must be customer focused. I speak to many, many people, and the advisors would as well, where we sit down and we say, what's your vision? And ultimately, the vision is about them. The vision is never about the customer. Now, the vision for Di Bella Coffee was very simple. It was the ultimate coffee experience. It was not a vision about me, and it was not a vision about finances or money. It was a vision of what we would turn up every day to achieve, and that was the ultimate coffee experience. And that the best visions, right, resonate through every layer of your organization. And as I said, and we'll keep saying, doesn't matter whether you're a team of 1 or a team of 100 plus, it is the same concept. The vision must be customer focused, and it must resonate through the whole levels of the organization. It has to be outward facing. If it is, then you're on your way to success. Right, passion. Let's get straight into it. So, for me, I love to use the quotes and then put some context around it. The ability to think about or plan the future with imagination or wisdom. So what is passion not? Passion is not aggression. Unfortunately, you'll hear a lot of people say, oh, that person's passionate because they're getting excited. They get loud. Everybody shows passion in different ways. Passion is not aggression. So let's ensure that we understand the complete difference. Passion is not contrived. It comes naturally from people and organizations. You will know if an organization or a person is passionate by the conviction they go about what they do. Now, remember that. The conviction in how they go about what they do. So one of the key elements here is to really sit back and be a spectator at times and look at the business and look at the people and go, has this person got conviction in what they're doing? You know, or are they hamming it up? Are they putting on a show? And it'll start to see quickly where the actual true authenticity lies. And one of the key words you'll hear me talk about in all of these sessions is authenticity. It gets people inspired to be part of your movement. You know, this is not just internally, this is externally. So internally, I talk about your staff, and externally is your customers. Passion is a driver. It's an emotion that evokes action. Remember that. So it gets people inspired to be part of the movement. If people are passionate and inspired, they're going to take action. And this, again, is why that passion is important, which is passion is important. Why? Well, it makes you resilient. You won't give up if you're truly passionate about something. And when I started Di Bella Coffee in 2002, I had an amazing vision. I wanted to create an ultimate coffee experience. Yeah, that was great. I wanted to help cafe owners make money. Fantastic. You know, an amazing vision. But how many people said no? Lots. How many people would I go and knock on their door and say, will you buy my product? And they said no. Lots. When I started to get people say yes, the fundamental difference of why they said yes was the fact that I had conviction, the fact that I was resilient, the fact that I kept spinning the Rubik's Cube to see what I could do to get them to buy my product, which is what I learned quickly was I wasn't selling a product. I was actually selling a service. They could buy a coffee product anywhere. So what people saw through my passion, what they saw my conviction was actually service, that I was resilient when it came to people saying no, because I really, truly had a conviction to help people, to help them with their business, to help them make money, to ensure that they got the ultimate coffee experience. Now, at the time, I didn't know that that was passion. It wasn't until Alan Bonsall said, let's write this book, that I totally started to understand and to share with you today the fundamentals of what sat behind the success of what became Australia's largest specialty coffee company. And it was passion that drove it. And the why was, again, it was resilient. When I went to Melbourne in 2005, the same thing. coffee capital of the world. Just ask them, the Melbourneites. I love your branding. I love what you stand for. You present well. You seem like a nice guy. But why would somebody in Melbourne buy a product from a Queenslander? We know coffee. We're the best at it. And again, I had to be resilient. What did I do? I was convicted to providing service. So I moved away again from trying to sell a product, and I became passionate about helping cafe owners. Once people saw this passion and this conviction towards helping them make money, they chose me for service. They didn't necessarily choose me for product. And I really want to share that with the audience, is that passion is that driver that evokes action. And you're going to keep hearing me say this. Now, in terms of resilience and conviction, it was so evident that became the success of the Di Bella coffee brand. There are two sides to passion. There is the passion someone perceives and the passion that you own. And this is something that I came to learn very quickly, right? There are two sides to passion. There's the one that someone perceives. So you go about what you're doing, however, it can be misconstrued or it might not be misconstrued. At the end of the day, your sale happens because of perception. And remember that. You trying to sell a product or service, right, is all about emotionally engaging. And you'll only emotionally engage if the perception is right. So one could argue that it doesn't matter what your intention is at times, it's how it's being perceived. The key is to be able to explain your intention clearly so that the perception is that of which you want. Then there is the passion that you own, right, which then ties into what we'll talk about next week, which is brand. But it's about how you own your passion. So what I want to talk about here is that no one can own your passion but you. And remember that it's got to come natural. Now, it comes natural if you truly believe in a product, in a purpose. If you don't truly believe in this, then you're working off the back foot, right? So you need to really make sure that you own that you're not waiting for somebody else to own it. Somebody can tell very quickly when they're talking to you whether you believe in your product, if you believe in your purpose, if you believe in exactly what it is that you're doing. So something I really want you to step out, and I've given you this, and everyone's got access to these slides, is how to find your passion. And this is something that, that I do a lot of stuff now with certain groups where, I do it with my own exec team, I do it with their teams, where we really try to identify what people's passions are, because passion is an emotive that evokes action. Remember that, an emotive that evokes action. And we want everybody in our organizations, including ourselves, to take action. But in order to do that, we have to understand what their passion is. How do we help people find it? Now, here's a couple of questions. Is there something you already love doing? Now, think about something that you love doing. No matter what, you love doing it. For my daughter, she's just learning the electric guitar. Can I tell you, it sounds cool sometimes, God love her, but she keeps going because she loves it. And that's not the outcome of how she sounds. It's the fact that she keeps picking up that guitar day in and day out, and she keeps having a crack at it because she loves what she's doing. So here's a 12-year-old about to turn 13, God help me, that is focused not on the outcome, but focused on the process. She's focused on the process because she loves doing it. Now, what does she love about it? She loves music. So her love of music has led her to learn the guitar. So when I asked her the other day, is it that you actually love the guitar or is it that you love music? She said, Dad, I love music. Guitar is just a form of expressing, an aspect of music. So key question there, is there something you already love doing? Because what you'll find out of that is it'll explore your passion, but you'll have things that'll flow on from that. 2, find out what you spend hours reading about. Now, I can tell you social media is like a scalpel. It can be used for good. It can be used for bad. Discussion and workshop for, the experts. But find out what you spend hours reading about, and just think about when you're on social media next, the garbage that you just keep flicking through because everyone's an expert, everyone's a self-help expert, everyone knows better, they know more, everyone's brilliant, just ask them. And you'll find that you'll flick through stuff, and then someone puts something up about animals, or they put something up about cars, or they put something about politics. Everyone has a different interest and liking. So find out what gravitates you to spend hours reading about. What do you love researching? I know some people love researching, about old cars is a common one. A friend of mine sent me stuff the other day. I'm not interested in old cars. I like new cars. They're not right. I'm not wrong. I'm not right. They're not wrong. But what do you love spend hours reading about? Because this will start to show you where your passion actually gravitates, because it sparks an interest. Remember that you can't teach someone passion, but you can help them identify what they're passionate about. You can't actually teach passion, right? And it's something that's very clear, and many people, and some far smarter than myself, will be able to tell you that passion can't be taught. But you can help them identify what they're passionate about. A lot of it will be based around what's something they already love doing and what do they spend hours reading about. Now, remember that someone that has great emotional intelligence can articulate and share their passion very successfully. So, emotional intelligence is very, very important when it comes to passion, because if you can explain what you're truly passionate about, then you will emotionally engage with people. And remember, and I keep tying it back, that the funnel, the difference between success and failure is how well you emotionally engage with a person, how you connect a person to a product or service. That silver bullet, that bit in the middle, is what we call emotional engagement. Now, I just want to cover a few things of what causes people to suppress passion. So the primary suppressor of passion is fear. We found what we love doing, but we're scared of it, or we're scared of what people think, or et cetera, et cetera. And I want to give a few tips around this. So firstly, identify your worst possible scenario. If it doesn't stop living your passion, then don't stop. Don't let it suppress. Don't let that fear take a stranglehold. Identify what your worst possible scenario is in all aspects of life, right? Don't allow it to stop living your passion, right? If fear causes you to lose your passion, then you will lose sight of your outcomes, right? You hear it all the time, where people get stifled by fear. Whereas you want to channel that fear for good. You want to channel that fear as a positivity. You want it to keep you sharp. You want it to keep you, alive and ready and aware, but you don't want it to stifle your passion, because the moment it stifles your passion, it stifles your resilience. It stifles you from taking action. So a lot of you people that be listening now might be going, oh shit, I remember being in a moment like that, where I couldn't really articulate it. Well, there's a good chance that the fear stifled your passion, which means you stopped taking action. You didn't get in the river. You didn't head towards what your vision was. You've really got to be able to control that fear. I use Muhammad Ali. Of course he was afraid. He'll tell you that in his interviews. He was afraid all the time. But what he did was he made sure that his passion for winning and his vision of the outcome always overcame the feelings of fear. And his tagline, his reminder, his brainwave, his shock to the system, whatever you want to call it, was his cliche term, I am the greatest. So I remember seeing a really great interview with him where he says, I am the greatest was what I used for me personally. Now, to some, it came across very arrogant, but his concept of I am the greatest was his go-to, was his trigger point to say, I know that I'm afraid. However, my passion to win and my vision to overcome the feeling of fear is going to be driven and in place by reminding myself that I am the greatest. So, I just wanted to share that little insight, because most of us all know who Muhammad Ali is, even if we're not boxing fans. You'll know that, and he would have heard the words, I am the greatest. Well, the purpose of that line, and some people use the word taglines, or, it was an emotion. For him, it was a reminder, it was a kickstart that I am feeling a bit of fear right now. However, my passion to win and my vision for the outcome is far greater than my fear. Now, fear is a basic survival technique that we experience to try and keep us safe. So we need to know when it is crossing over, right? Fear is normal. When we pull up at a set of lights, rather than go and walk, where there's that little bit of fear that makes us alert, makes us scout around. Is there a red light? Is there not? Is there people crossing the road? Are there kids on bikes? That little bit of fear, that fear to have an accident, that fear that there might be police around, so we watch the speed limit. This is all fear that we've actually channeled productively. So the fear that I'm really honing in on here that causes you to suppress your passion is the fear that it goes beyond trying to keep you safe. It's the fear that actually says, you know what, you can't do this, or you're not good enough for this. That's where you've got to understand the difference, because fear is a basic survival technique and it will happen day to day. But the moment that you go from positive fear to negative fear is when it stops you from evoking an action. Passion may belong to an individual. However, its benefits spread to the entire organization. And we started by saying that passion is owned by the individual. Remember that you can't make somebody else passionate. You can only help them, explore this. But remember that what happens with passion, it's infectious. It's inspiring. It inspires people to take action. You jump in that river, they jump in the river with you if they follow your passion. Passion of successful entrepreneurs drives them to achieve and become inspiring and infectious to team members and customers. You know, the amount of times that I got told by customers, by staff, you know, we are behind Di Bella Coffee because our leader, Phil Di Bella, is passionate. Why is he passionate? He's resilient. He's committed to the cause. When he gets told no, he wants to understand why. He then spins the Rubik's Cube to try and see how we can better attract customers. You know, this became my personal brand. Again, we're going to talk about brand next week. But passion from successful entrepreneurs inspires others. It makes it infection where everybody's driving to that common cause, driving to that common vision, and you see how passion becomes the flow on from your vision. The passion is the what you do to achieve that why. Now, emotional engagement is key to success. You hear me saying it over and over again, and leaders know that sharing their passion will engage others to be part of the journey. Because remember that we are not to be destination focused. Remember that. Because what happens is that we're always looking at destination. And as I said last week, there's only one destination. One day we won't be here anymore. Not morbid, true story. The journey is where it's at. If we can, you know, jolt ourselves away from the destination and come back to the journey so that we can engage others to be part of it and do this by sharing your passion, then you are well on the way to achieving your vision. Your profession is often not your passion. Now, this came out in the book, right? You know, however, the vehicle to achieve the outcomes or partake in things that you are passionate about. For example, I know many lawyers where their passion is justice. It's not actually being a lawyer. I know doctors and surgeons that are passionate, right, about saving lives, right? They're passionate about saving lives. They're not actually passionate about, you know, blood or passionate about other things. They're passionate about the outcome, saving lives. You know, a lawyer passionate about justice. For me, my passion wasn't coffee. Don't tell anybody. I love coffee, don't get me wrong. But my passions, and it's, you know, it came out after going through this process. I have three major drivers, three passions that evoke action from me. One is people, two is education, and three is opportunity. Now, when Alan got that out of me after several days and hours of interviews, I really had an aha moment. And ever since then, ever since 2012, 2013, I've spoken about it when people say you're very passionate. I can hone in and say, well, I'm actually passionate about people, opportunity, and education. So constantly I'm learning today to be better than yesterday. I love seeing other people accelerate their potential, and I love exploring opportunities for myself, but also for others. And I can really hone in now and say, this is what I'm passionate about. I'm not passionate as such as being a managing director or owning my own business or the rest of it. My actual passion lies in people, opportunity, and education. So to summarize, before we head over and answer questions, myself and obviously the panel. So in those, in that panel section there in the Q&A, please pop in your questions, not just for me, but for all the panelists, and we'll endeavour to answer them as best we can, right? But my passion was never coffee. You heard me say it. Now, you might be sitting there going, well, what's this guy talking about? He went from zero startup to the biggest specialty coffee company in the country. Specialty means we specialize in supplying cafes and restaurants. But he wasn't passionate about coffee. As I said, I love coffee. I enjoy coffee. I'm having coffee right now. But it wasn't my passion. It wasn't coffee that evoked me to take action. It was people. It was opportunity. It was education that evoked that emotion in me to take an action. And again, I couldn't articulate that as clearly as I can now when I first started. Hence why I like to share this with people like yourselves now, to get you to think about it right at the beginning, right at the start, because it is a driver. It is a driver that will connect your customers. It'll connect your people internally to your vision, right? Education, opportunity, and people are my passions. And like I said, the coffee industry and my Di Bella business was the vehicle that I used to enjoy and partake in the passion. So in Di Bella Coffee, we had, you know, one of my favorite things to do was to map out people's journeys. Where are you today? Where do you want to be in 12 months? And where do you want to be in 3 years? I also mapped out that their life was made up of personal, professional, and family. So key note there, personal, professional, and family makes up an individual's life. And it's all of person that turns up to work. It's not just the professional person that turns up to work. It's the personal, the family, and the professional. So if somebody's got major trauma happening at home with a loved one that's ill or kids are not well, then they're not going to bring their best selves to work. However, if you understand what they're passionate about, and if they're passionate about family and they're passionate about work, well, something's going to give, because it's all the person that turns up to work. Now, remember that work is a driver for us. Now, whether you own the business or you don't own the business, it's the same thing. Your place of work, your business that you own or where you work, is a vehicle for you to partake in your passion. So if you spin it around as a leader of a team or a leader of a business, how could you not understand what your team members are passionate about? And it's a big tip from me, is that if you can actually understand what your team members and what your team, staff, even customers, what they're truly passionate about, then you will drive that much success. It's not funny. Some questions for you to think about. What drives you? What motivates you? What evokes the best emotional feeling possible? I can tell you that I'm at my best when I'm capitalizing on opportunities or helping others to capitalize on opportunities. And that also means staying away from things that are the wrong opportunities. I'm at my best when I'm helping people be their best version. As I talk about be the best you can be, I talk about accelerating people's potential. It drives me. It evokes the best emotional feeling in me. And I love when I'm in learning mode. And I talk about today better than yesterday. And I wouldn't be a marketing expert if I didn't have, brand lines for each. So for me, the brand line around people is to help people be the best they can be. The brand line for me, which is my brand that I want to be known for when it comes to opportunity, is people to help accelerate their potential. And about education, is my brand line is to be better today than yesterday. So I actually, but a bit like Muhammad Ali, I put those words around it that it reminds me consciously to be the best version of myself, to give the best version of my passions to others. Now, with the new business, the Coffee Commune, I'm using the Coffee Commune to actually play with my passions: people, opportunity, and education. So what are we doing at the Coffee Commune? Putting this into play. I'm driving my passion. I'm using my passion as an emotive to evoke action, to help business owners be the best that they can be, to accelerate their potential, to make sure that they're better today than what they were yesterday. And you can see how that flow happens again. The brand used to be Di Bella Coffee. The brand is now Coffee Commune, but the template hasn't changed. It started with the vision, which I spoke about last week, and it's going to be driven by passion, understanding that passion is an emotion that will be one of the key foundations to make you achieve your outcome, right? Passion is an emotion that drives action. Remember that. And I can't keep saying it enough. So next time somebody asks you whether you're passionate or not passionate, I hope you've got some tools now to be able to explain it. More importantly, I want you to go back in your own time and have a look at what we've covered and be able to articulate very clearly to yourself and to those around you exactly what you're passionate about. What are you personally passionate about? What is your company passionate about? And what are your people passionate about? If you can articulate that, then I can assure you that you are going to drive successfully towards achieving your vision. And remember that next week we're going to talk about brand, which is how. So we've covered the why, which is vision. We've covered the what today, which is passion. And next week we're going to talk about the how, which is brand. How do we tie all of it together when we've got a vision, we understand our passion and where we sit, and we're ready to go? How do we do it? And we're going to do that and talk about it in terms of brand. So I'm going to hand over and open up the floor to all of our advisors again. And we're going to have you guys for questions. Now stop sharing my screen so I can get everybody else up. Gallery view. There we go. I hope I didn't go too quick for everybody, but I've got all the advisors here. We've got Sandra, I've got Dante, I've got Nathan, I've got Carolyn. Have I missed anybody else that hasn't come up on my screen?
No, you got everyone. Thanks, Phil. That was absolutely fantastic. So we got 4 advisors and of course yourself. Just have to say, absolutely brilliant, your coverage about passion. We have a few questions here in the Q&A, and as you mentioned, I think we're going to throw them in to everyone. First one, and this is a very good one, I reckon, and we all can relate, is can passion overcome your natural fear of failure?
Yeah, let's hand over to one of my colleagues. Who wants to go? Sandra.
I could go.
I was going to say everyone's fear of answering.
I'll go. So can passion overcome your, sorry, what was the question? Can
passion overcome your natural fear of failure?
Look, I think as Phil said, you've got to just dive into the river. I think we all have fears and, you know, of being in business and being judged and everything. So that doesn't really go away. It's about how do I learn to manage that? And I think, you know, if you are passionate about what you do, then the world needs to see that, you know, so you've almost got to learn to silence that kind of fear. And, you know, sometimes it's good having a little bit of that fear because it pushes us to, I guess, become better and better. But I think having an element of fear is actually good because it showcases that you really do care about what you do and you are passionate about what you do. I think if you didn't have any fear at all, then you would almost question. It's kind of like, you know, I know a lot of people that have a craft or an art or something, it's like your child, and you don't want your child to get criticized. You don't want your child to get bullied. You don't want things. So you kind of have to let that child go in a way and let them grow, because they won't grow if you're holding on to them. So you've got to almost look at it like that. You've got to let that child go, let them see the world. And that's kind of how you've got to treat your business in a way. You've got to get out there, you've got to show yourself. And, you know, what's the absolute worst that can happen? We are actually, as business owners, sometimes our own worst enemy. So you've just got to passion. People can see when you're passionate, and that will naturally over time slowly quieten that fearful voice. But like I said, it's good to have an element of fear. It pushes us to become a better and better version of ourselves, but you've got to just learn to silence it at certain times. So I hope that answers the question.
Dante, what do you think, Dante?
This is related a lot to what we call imposter syndrome. And I think that's when you're coming into a situation where you think, who the heck do I think I am to be standing up and being this expert? Who the hell do I think I am to be standing up and saying, I'm passionate about this and passionate about that? I'd have to say that yes, the passion will help you to overcome it, because that's what's going to get you keep waking up the next morning. It's not the money. The money will come. There's a million ways to make money, but it's not the uniform you put on. It's not the people necessarily you meet. What actually helps you to wake up tomorrow morning and the morning after that and the morning after that and the morning after that is that base core of passion you got. So yes, I think it does overcome your fear of failure, because you have to keep coming back, because if you don't, your passion goes unfulfilled. And I don't know about you, I don't like living an unpassionate life. So I want to keep coming back for more.
Carolyn, do you want to add some?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think fear can be a good thing. It keeps us on track to some degree, but I think that we need to be in control of our fear rather than it control us. But at the absolute core of that, all of us have been talking about passion, and I can see there's a lot of questions coming through about passion. How does that then drive us to overcome that fear? And I think it's really making sure that you are in a lane that you are passionate about. A lot of us can get into business because we want to make money, and money is great. We all want money. But if we lack the passion for what we're doing, then there is a good chance that fear can overcome that. But when we are so firmly entrenched in what we're doing and we are just so passionate about it, you'll find that you'll wake up and it's easy to go into work. It's easy to talk about what you do, and it's easy to sell what you do because you believe in it so wholeheartedly. So, and I think over time the fear does get less and less and less, but it is okay to have a certain amount of fear.
And Nathan, round us home.
Yeah, I would just add, Phil, that there's obviously such thing as a healthy fear. And I think it's important that when you are feeling fearful of something, that you do have the right people around you as well, that you surround yourself with advisors or with mentors or with, a board, depending on your personal circumstance, so that you've got people that are speaking positivity into your situation, that are speaking from their own advice, from their own experiences, they're speaking advice into your situation. And in doing so, you're able to channel that fear in the direction that you're intending to go.
I think the key there, guys, people listening, get comfortable with your worst possible scenario, which I covered. The moment you're comfortable with your worst possible scenario, don't let anything hold you back, whether that is changing jobs, selling your business, buying a new business. Get comfortable with your worst possible scenario. Agatha, what's next?
That's very good. You know what? I just wanted to, I think, Dante, because you did mention it, I just wanted to go to this next question because what is your position, and if any one of you would like to add about imposter syndrome, where someone is super passionate but fearful, right? It's probably very similar. They can't compare to what's already established in terms of competitors, or that they aren't actually good enough.
I will jump in on that one because I did, I mentioned it, it's just a little bit earlier. The one cure for imposter syndrome is not being an imposter and actually delivering. And that is just one of those things where there's some things in life where you have to just grit your fist together and just go, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. Regardless of what my thoughts and feelings are, I have to do it. That's the same thing that gets a kid walking when they want to crawl. That's the thing that gets a kid talking when they just want to babble. That's the thing that makes someone start a business when they just feel like it's more comfortable to have a job. At some point, you just have to step forward and go, like Phil said, I'm comfortable with the worst possible scenario. So if I'm comfortable with the fact that I might fail, it's okay. If you fail, you're not going to die. It's going to be okay if you fail. If you get comfortable with that idea, then the imposter syndrome just fades away like the fear of failure. There is essentially the same core. A fear of failure is a fear of being an imposter and not being who you reckon you are. I drive my imposter syndrome simply by getting lots of certifications, like my big rap sheet of all the things I do and all the things I've done. And that feeds my imposter syndrome. You find ways of coping with that. It could be that you work a little longer hours. It could be that you join clubs, you join networking organizations, you speak in public. Whatever you do that helps you to overcome that, do that thing, because that then will force the imposter to fade away, and then the true you and your power and your abilities will shine through.
You're on mute, Agatha.
That's right, sir. Awesome. So anyone else want to add anything before we move on to the next question? Is there anything about imposter syndrome?
Yeah, I'll jump in there because in our industry, you've got a lot of imposters, right? There's 1,500 coffee companies and growing. There's more now. There's probably 2,500. And everyone's selling the best coffee. Just ask them, right? But unfortunately, there's three categories of coffee, and this is crap, this is okay, and this is memorable. And fortunate in 2002, there was a lot of crap. Fast forward to 2021, there's not a lot of crap. The industry's come a long way. But my motto on this is very simple. No one wants fake Louis Vuitton, right? No one wants fake Rolexes. They'll go and buy a fake Rolex, but guess what? They know what's real and what's not real. So imposter syndrome, to me, how do you get around it? Know yourself. So Dante touched on it. Know yourself, get confident with yourself, and don't let things hold you back. However, a bit of a formula for people to follow. If you want to understand how you're not going to be an imposter, is very simple. I call it knowing what's going on within you, know what's going on with your competitors, but know what's going on in the industry. And if you can team up, right, what's going on within, what's going on with externally, and what's going on around, right, which is the industry, then you tie that back to, to a clear vision of solving a problem. You won't be an imposter, right? Yeah, there'll be certain elements of your company that will copy, that will be similar to others. You're not going about copying, right? There'll be certain elements. And I'll use me to wrap it up as an example on this. When I started Di Bella Coffee, there was an amazing company. The model I've always used, and we're going to really delve into it next week, but is perception, right? Brand. Lavazza had that owned. 2002, Lavazza, and still is the biggest coffee. Amazing brand. Locally, Merlot had great product, right? But no one owned the space of amazing brand, great product, and great service. So I looked at what made Merlot a great product and had a look at certain things that I would adopt as well. I had a look at elements of what made Lavazza amazing, but then I went out and was unique, and I tied it all together. Built an amazing brand, amazing product, but had amazing service and targeted a different audience to everybody else. So whilst there was elements of having a look at what the industry was doing, I wasn't an imposter because the overarching vision, the overarching drive of passion was completely unique. And so I encourage people to go about that. Have a look at what's going on internally, what's going on externally, and have a look at what's going on around the industry. And that will help you piece together a model that will make sure you're not an imposter.
I love it. Absolutely fantastic. Thanks, Phil. We'll move on to the next question. This is from Prue. Prue has mentioned that, do you guys, the panel, have any tips about the ways to get the passion through Facebook posts? When I'm doing StreamYard lives in Facebook, my members in my paid and free Facebook groups are telling me the passion is very clear. But how do I professionally do this as in a post? Or should I not be as professional and let them know, show through a little more? Or should I not be as professional and let the me show through a little more? All right.
Oh, Agatha, can I take this one?
Absolutely. Go right ahead, Karen.
Yeah, awesome. So it really comes down to authenticity. I think, especially in a social media context, as business owners, we get caught up thinking we have to be professional all the time, and we have a business language that we use when we're conversing with people. What we forget, though, is social media platforms like Facebook weren't designed for business. They were designed for social interaction. So primarily, it's about people getting on there, connecting with their friends, their family, looking at photos. So the tone of communication is quite different to the tone of communication you'd use for business to business. On LinkedIn, business to business communication is fantastic because we expect it. It's a business platform. But when you're on a platform that's a social platform, that's where that authenticity comes in. So I'd suggest to really look at your copywriting side of your content. What's your tone? Are you using a conversationalist tone? Is your passion coming through in your writing and how you're expressing it? Are you talking through your post how you would talk on your live? Are you using the same language? Or are you trying to put it in the context of a business language? So I'd start there and just look at your languaging with that and just practice writing what you speak. If your passion is coming through on your lives, perhaps go back and rewatch your lives and see how much of that you can extrapolate out into some copy for your posts on social media. Remember, social media is exactly that. It's social. It's all about relationship building and it's about authenticity. That's my little 2 cents worth there.
Yeah,
I love it. Anyone else? Nathan, go ahead.
Yeah. I'll just echo what Carolyn was saying next. I think that was spot on. Like the 3 key takeaways for me when talking about social media is obviously be authentic. So be yourself. People want to buy into you as a person, you as a business. Keep it social, as Carolyn so eloquently said there. Social media is about engaging customers, but also building a community around your brand. Obviously, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, there's different ways to do that on different platforms, but it's essential that you come into it with that frame of mind that this is about building connections, building relationships, engaging different target markets, and then obviously keep it simple. Turn your writing into a full-blown story. Keep it simple, concise, effective, and obviously in doing so, you're able to then engage people and you're able to reveal yourself in the best possible way.
I love it. And Dante, I know this is about Facebook, and I think I want your, 2 cents about how is it that your posts on Facebook can look passionate, not just professional?
Carolyn really touched on this. A funny thing happens when you go live. You suddenly become very real because you can't hide it. It's completely raw and completely unfiltered. You're using your language, you're using your examples, you're using your personality to draw those lessons or those experiences across through to your audience. But then a funny thing happens when we go to write a post. We do it all at 5 p.m. on a Friday, and we do our week's worth of posts, and we're writing like a pro. We're writing like a social media manager should write. We're writing like a professional business owner should write. That's generally where the disconnect is that exactly what Carolyn said, authenticity. We become really authentic on our videos and very real and very accessible and very human. And then we become these little copy bots when we go onto our posts. So I think if you can, like Carolyn said, drag out the bits that make you authentic and passionate in those live videos, and replicate that in what you're writing for your posts, and you won't go wrong. The passion will automatically come across because it's your language, your experiences, your expertise, and your face on it too.
Absolutely love it. All right, and Sandra, of course, the copywriter. What do you think?
Yes, so I'm sure everyone here has heard of Warren Buffett, and I think it was about 2004, he won an award for his writing skills and for his effectiveness. So he won this big award, and he said that his secret to writing good copy is that he writes as if he's speaking. So we need to write as if we're speaking, and you need to get very clear and comfortable with your tone, with your voice. When you do write on social media, you shouldn't be like, hey, all of you. It should be as if you're speaking to just one other person. So he actually said, quote, pretty much spot on, is when I write, I imagine that I'm speaking to my sister. I start with Dear Doris. So I think the secret here is getting very clear on who your target market is, right? Because don't forget, on our social media, we can't always control who's following us, who's not following us. So the secret to writing effectively and actually being able to communicate authentically and getting our clients to re-engage with us is getting very clear on our demographic, because there's a lot of different people out there watching us, listening to us, and we're not going to appeal to all of them. So understand who they are and speak to them, right? So almost create a client avatar. What's their age? What are their likes? What are their dislikes? What are their pain points? And when you write, you're imagining that you're speaking to that one other person. So don't overwhelm yourself by thinking, oh my God, I've got 50 people here, I'm speaking to all these people. Just imagine that you're speaking to one person, and you'll find that there will be a much stronger emotional connection in your content when you do write like that. So, yeah, that would be my advice.
Absolutely. No, I love it. Writing a
Can I
love
just add to
letter.
that,
Yes.
Agatha?
Sure, go ahead.
Just, I suppose, further to my earlier point around surrounding yourself with people who are going to help you in revealing your passion is don't be afraid to bounce your copywriting or your social media posts and anything that's going out from your business. Don't be afraid to bounce that off people before you actually click go as well.
Yeah.
Whether it's friends, whether it's family, whether it's colleagues, employees, just oftentimes getting that extra set of eyes or another opinion on something is hugely helpful. And obviously, as Phil said, perception is everything in business, and we're all perceiving things in different ways. So how you've written the copy for a social media post is going to be perceived differently by someone else. So it's important to get multiple views on things before you actually go live with something.
Absolutely. Phil, would you like to kind of like summarize that into what do you think about translating passion into your copy?
Yeah, look, the guys have got it spot on. They've hit it on. The thing I'd add to all of that is, well, firstly, next week's about brand, and we'll walk through a bit of a template of what actual brand is, and it'll cover that, which segues into what I'm about to say. You don't have to always use social media. And I think people do a tick and flick. They think, I have to be on social media because all of these people are. Social media doesn't always mean that it's the right channel for you to actually brand your product yourself. It can actually be negative. And remember, I said in this, when I spoke earlier, I said social media can be a scalpel. It can be used for good, like a surgeon does to save a life, but it can be used as a weapon to kill somebody. And social media is exactly the same. And I see a lot of people, whether it's social media, digital, print, TV, they're doing the tick and flick. So we're going to delve into it next week. Everything what the panel has told you is spot on. They've covered it perfectly. But I add to it that you don't have to always, social media is not always going to be at the crux and the center of your marketing plan. So keep that in mind.
Can I just say something on that really quickly, Phil? And I totally agree with you. And I think this is misconception. A lot of people think, oh, I'm going to post on social media and I'm going to have 1 million, followers. And social media is a piece of the pie, right? It's that piece of the pie. As we know, it takes people 15, 16 touch points before they go, hey, this is the right product or service we want to engage. So social media is that touch point, but there's so many other touch points. I'm a big believer in meetings and people. One of the mottos I live by is people buy people before people buy things. So, social media is a piece of that pie, but it's not the full pie. So you need to make sure that, when you are like promoting yourself, you don't think, oh, I'm just going to put all my, eggs in the social media basket. Maybe put 2 eggs in the social media basket.
Love it.
That's my little.
Thank you, Sandra. All right, so I'm a bit mindful of time because I've got a lot of questions, and of course, these questions will also be covered on session 4. So don't miss out session 4 about 2 weeks from now, guys. One question, and I think this is very important. Many of us have multiple passions, and that's true. So can pursuing multiple passions dilute them and make you more fulfilled? Do you think? Which one? Whether it's diluting them or make you more fulfilled?
Yeah, look, I'll kick off very quickly. If you set up, and this is probably the key takeaway, I do a lot of speaking, and a lot of people say, "Hey, give me one key takeaway." Understand that everybody's life is broken into personal, professional, and family. So you need to identify. I love what Sandra talks about, because I use it all the time, avatars. I build an avatar of what you want to be known for personally, what do you want to be known for professionally, and what do you want to be known for from a family perspective. And I've done that. Over the last 3 years, I've dropped 70 kilos. Most of the people on here weigh 70 kilos. So I've lost a person as such, right? And what I wanted to be known for personally is I set this goal to be known as the biggest loser. I wanted to be a loser, because I was a loser because I didn't look after myself, and I wanted to lose the weight. In terms of family, I said, right, I've set myself the avatar to be dad of the year. So I take all school holidays off. And even with this new business venture, I only work school holiday. I don't work school holidays. Professionally, I've now moved into my calling versus career, and I want to be known for the person who's helped people accelerate their potential in their business. So if you see there, I shared my 3 passions around people, opportunity, and education. I get to channel that, but the way to answer the question that brings you back to a single focus, because there's no such thing as too many passions, but there is a such thing as losing direction. So, some people can only handle one thing, some people can handle 10. So there is no set number. But what we all have in common and need to understand is that our lives are made up of personally, professionally, and family. And if you don't have things and vision, so vision, a why, a purpose, they're all the same thing. If you don't have something that you want to achieve personally, something to achieve from a family perspective, or something to achieve professionally, you'll never feel content and complete, no matter how many passions you have in just one area.
Absolutely, that's great. All right, everyone else, come in. I know you got a lot of passions. What do you think?
I can go. So I think today we live in a different world where a lot of people do have that entrepreneur hat as well, where they do quite a few things. I think it's really, every case is different. It depends. Like some people, want to just be known as the fitness guru, but then they have other passions. You don't necessarily have to promote all your other passions. You can still have your other passions. You can still do all your other, investments and passions and all that, but you don't necessarily have to go and share everything with the world. You can say, okay, I want to be known for X, Y, and Z, but you can still run all your other businesses and ventures on the side without having to necessarily go and tell everyone about it as well. So I think, that would be my opinion. There is a really, really good book as well that I read, other than obviously Phil's amazing book that I highly recommend everyone get. Another book by Robin Sharma called A Leader Without a Title. Yeah. And it's about being a leader in whatever you do. So we don't, a lot of the time where we put a title on ourselves and we feel like we need to align with this title. But this book teaches you about whatever you do in life. It's not about the title. It's about doing the best you can. So I remember once I met a lady and she was like a CEO of a really big company, and her title was a happy person. And I remember that. It wasn't CEO, it wasn't director, even though she had a really high up role, her title was a happy person. And I remember that to this day.
Absolutely.
She lived that. So that's my take.
Thanks, Sandra. All right, just quickly round up. So Dante, what do you think about that?
I have 3 businesses. I work on 3 boards. I have 7 contracts that I work in, and I'm passionate about every single one of them. And I would have a feeling that if I was diluted in somehow, that those people would be coming back to me and saying, mate, pick up your act, you're doing too much. Yes, you can be. It's just that you learn to blend those things together. I have a passion for the education of Aboriginal kids in Central Australia. I've found a way to blend that with some of the work I do. I have a passion for traveling to regional Australia. I've managed to find a way that I can go, there's workshops I can do all around Australia, and I can get that passion tickled whilst I'm doing work. So I say, try and bring those passions into places where they intersect and just go, well, okay, I may not be able to travel and climb a mountain this year, but what I can do is I can still travel and I can see some mountains while getting some work done in the hotel with a view of those mountains. So trying to find the intersecting point where those passions are, that's how you can do it without diluting them. You're still passionate, but you just go, well, I'm also realistic. I need to get a lot of things done.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. Carolyn, just quickly, what do you think about that?
Yeah, like Dante, we have 2 companies. I'm on a couple of boards and do different things, and definitely have more than one passion. But I guess my word of advice or a little bit of caution is just remember you only have limited time during the day. And if you don't put time into looking after yourself and your body and your health, then it's going to be really hard to maintain the longevity of all those passions. So, and that's something I've had to really take on board too, and just look at what is my real passion, and maybe I'm not as passionate about, and just allocate my time accordingly. Because I think, especially if you're very entrepreneurial, you can just go like a bull at a gate and just dive in so hard and so fast that sometimes your health and your family and all of that can get thrown out of balance. So that would be my only word of caution in that regard. But other than that, yeah, go for it. Passion is brilliant.
No, I think you're spot on. Well-being is always number one. I agreed with you there. And Nathan. So Nathan, are you still there?
Is a means to outworking our passion. So whether that's through one business or multiple business ventures, whatever it might be, it's a means to outworking the core of your passion. And oftentimes for me, in determining my passions, it's often things that frustrate me. So if I'm frustrated by something, chances are it's an opportunity for me to solve a problem, or for me to partner with a business, or to come alongside perhaps the next generation, whoever it might be, so that I can be part of creating a solution to something that I may not have even been aware that I was passionate about until I was frustrated by something. I mean, for you, Phil, I'm sure you were frustrated by many of the coffee experiences you had prior to going into business. So oftentimes, what you find frustrating is an indicator of something that you may be passionate about, and then how you outwork that passion is completely up to you, but chances are it's going to be through multiple different avenues.
Fantastic. Sorry, Phil, why don't you just summarize everything of today, and then we'll, I know we're a bit over time, but I'm loving all this.
Thanks, guys. Some awesome input, and I really love. Thanks for the questions. There's 5 questions there that we've got to flow over to week 4, which is fantastic. So keep them coming. Now you can see the value of having these great panelists and business advisors, and of course, remember that you can reach out to them anytime. There was a link put up on the chat where you guys can reach out to them on behalf of ASBAS and the Business Station. You can see the value in what we're doing. To summarize passion, it's very simply, we'll come back to what it means for me, which was all about it's an emotion that evokes action. And if you summarize the crux of everything of what every advisor said when they answered the questions, there was somewhere about emotion and action. And remember that, passion is a positive emotion, and it's there to enact action. And if you don't take action, you can have all the ideas in the world. To tie it back to the start of week 1, you can have the most amazing vision, but if you don't have this driving emotion that enacts, that it makes you jump in the river and take action, then you're going nowhere very, very quickly. So it's all about that. It's been week 2, fantastic. Next week is about brand, and what I love, there's a correlation with a lot of questions here that will be answered, if not already, or be a lot clearer next week when we bring home brand, where I talk about the concept of brand. What does it really mean? We're going to touch on personal brand and company brands. We're also going to talk a little bit about building a marketing plan, because the brand is obviously a driver of, well, the marketing plan is an outcome of being able to put into play your brand. And so I'm going to give you guys a really cool template on how to do that and go about. Remember, it is my area of expertise. So I'm an adjunct professor, actually the youngest in the country I was at the time, youngest adjunct professor in marketing and entrepreneurship for Griffith University. So I don't know what that actually means, because I was at uni, they wanted to throw me out. And then they they awarded me an adjunct professorship. So apparently the titles, which I don't use, much to their dismay, it makes me qualified. But I want to share some of that with you all. To my fellow advisors, great work. You guys are awesome. Some awesome content there. I look forward to next week where we'll do the similar, well, we're going to do exactly the same format, and you can leave even more time for discussion, hopefully. And then I'm really looking forward to, today was a good sneak peek of what week 4 will be about, where 45 minutes of going hardcore with the panel and answering questions. Guys, it's all about you. This has been brought to you by ASBAS and Business Station, obviously courtesy of the federal government. Geez, we love it. It's good to see where our taxpayers' money goes, which is good. This is a positive thing with taxpayers. Don't get me started on that one. Maybe you'll give me my own show where I can talk about where the millions of dollars in tax I've paid have gone, but that's okay. There's a smile on my face. You can see I'm passionate.
That's right.
About donating to the government for the right reasons.
Absolutely. And Phil, sorry, can you just plug Mike O'Hagan, which is starting this week as well? You're a mate of Mike. Yeah.
So Michael and I, we haven't seen each other for a long time because he spent a long time in Philippines. But Michael Hagan, Mini Movers. Some of you might not know Michael, but you'll certainly know the brand, Mini Movers. He has an absolute cracker story. The way he started, the way it took off, then the way it went to the shithouse. And it was, he was on the verge of bankruptcy, and he reinvented himself. He's an amazing visionary. He's exceptional with people. The stuff he did with his staff and his customers and the way he looks after people. And then the journey he did where he pivoted, and I hate that word, but he did pivot, and he was one of the first to pivot before everyone started to use the word many years ago, went to the Philippines, and has been helping thousands of businesses, with smart contractors and stuff out of the Philippines. And he's been back in Australia, obviously, now for a while. But, I'd love to catch up with him. Michael, if you listen to this, you owe me. No, we need to catch up for a drink. But he has got an amazing story, and Mini Movers is obviously one of those iconic brands. And we met back in, I think, 2006, 2008, known each other for a while. He's a lot older than me too, right? I'm 45. I think I'll be nice to him and say 65. So, but you should get on board and listen. He's fantastic. And there's a lot of wisdom. Wisdom comes with age, right? Age and experiences. The older you are, the more experiences you have. And he's certainly had some cracker ones. So
absolutely. Thanks, Phil. That's such a beautiful plug. So that's Mike O'Hagan. It's actually this Friday. So, I drop in the link if anyone would like to catch on Mike and register now. Thanks, Phil. Thanks, Sandra. Thanks, Dante. Thanks, Caroline. And thanks, Nathan. I'll see you next week. Take care.
Thanks, Agatha. Thanks, Professor Phil.